Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Got another episode of collection acquisitions for you. So we're going to cover some CDs that I got at the record store, and then some that I found in thrift store. And there's a couple that I'm like really stoked about, but I'm going to save them closer to the end. So at the record store, my favorite record store. So, all CDs this time, but picked up ACDC, Stiff Upper Lip. Not my favorite ACDC album by any means, but I'm trying to collect all of these again, because I gave them away about 10 years ago. So, Stiff Upper Lip was one of the few that I didn't have. Now I'm just down to, I don't have High Voltage. I have Dirty Deeds on vinyl, but not CD. And then the rest of them I have on CD, so getting pretty close to having them all caught up there. But ACDC Stiff Upper Lip. A couple songs on here I do really love. I've always liked Meltdown. That's really the big highlight for me. Otherwise, this is probably one of my lesser favorite ACDC albums, but Stiff Upper Lip, had to have it to complete the collection. I found this album on vinyl like so many times in a row, and I thought about getting it. And I mentioned last week, I thought maybe I had it because I knew I had 3 Styx vinyl albums. Paradise Theater, Pieces of 8 or 2 of them, and for the life of me, I could not remember what the third one was. So, I didn't get Grand Illusion when I had the chance a couple of times. When I finally got home and saw that Grand Illusion was not the third one I had, in fact, it was Cornerstone, then every time I go to the record store, I can't even find this thing now. But I found it on CD. I was hoping to get it on vinyl since all the Styx I have is also on vinyl, but you know, kind of keep it nice and orderly there, but figured might as well get it on CD since I found it. I love Fooling Yourself, Angry Young Man. Superstars is really cool. Come Sail Away. I'm always kind of torn on that one. There's like, the first half of it doesn't do much for me, but I love the second half of it, so yeah, I guess that's just sort of how I feel about that song. But yeah, picked this one up finally. Styx, Grand Illusion. Next up, this is one that I have seen both at Goodwill and at the record store a number of times, and I've almost got it a couple times. I figured today's the day that I'm finally going to snatch it. Cranberries, No Need to Argue. This one has Zombie on it. I believe it's the only one that I know off the top of my head. But I've been kind of digging like the Sundays and the Primitives and those kind of bands. So the Cranberries are a little different than that, but you know, song I do kind of like Zombie. I like Dreams is a really good song by the Cranberries, and I've grown to like Linger. I used to not like that song, but I've kind of grown to dig that one too. So picked up a Cranberries album to give a whole thing a listen, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm only really familiar with the big hits, but we'll play that and see what we think. So last time I picked up a Brooks and Dunn CD because I liked one song on it at Goodwill, and so I played the CD a few nights ago, and by the time I was done listening to it, I liked 10 Brooks and Dunn songs. And I'm not usually a country fan, actually. I've never really been that interested in country music, but I actually quite like that Brooks and Dunn CD, which is really bizarre. But I found myself picking up more. I got this one at one record store a couple days ago, and then I found this one today. So I did play this one the other day. It's not as good as Brand New Man, but there's still some good songs on it. Still haven't played that one yet, but I don't know. So something might be wrong with me. I'm starting to appreciate some country, some old school country. I'm not a big fan of like a lot of the newer stuff, but that could be said about a lot of genres. So another country artist that I've never minded, even when I really didn't like country. I I never had a problem with Toby Keith. I always thought his songs were pretty memorable. I liked a lot of his hits. So I found this one at the record store today for $3. Figured out, you know, if I'm kind of digging a little country, maybe I'll see if I enjoy a Toby Keith album. I mean, he, God rest his soul, he just passed away a couple months ago. I've always liked How Do You Like Me Now? This one's got Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. So it's been I haven't heard that song in a while, but I remember liking it. Oh, that one song he did like 10 years ago, the Red Solo Cup. I never understood the hate for it. It's kind of a silly song, but I don't know. It's kind of fun, kind of tongue-in-cheek. I kind of liked it. So Toby Keith is a country artist that I really never minded, even when I disliked country a lot as a teenager. He was one artist that I really didn't have any problem with, so I picked up a CD to see what I think beyond that. So the last one I got at the record store today, how about Blue Oyster Cult, Agents of Fortune. I have this on vinyl, but now I got it on CD so that I can enjoy it in the car. Great album. This Ain't the Summer of Love. Don't Fear the Reaper, I love. I don't care if it's overplayed or not. It's awesome. ETI. Sinful Love's cool. Tattoo Vampire. Whole album. I like the whole album. So, Blue Oyster Cult. It's the only Blue Oyster Cult album I have. So, if anybody has any suggestions as to which album I should check out next, because this is like really the only album from them that I am that aware of. So, let me know which one I should go to next. Which one I should keep my eye out for. Alright, now let's move on to Goodwill. I got a pretty good Goodwill pile here. Only 4, but some pretty good finds. DLR Band from David Lee Roth. This is an album that I used to own when I was younger. I purged it about 10 years ago because it's not my favorite Diamond Dave album, but there are a couple songs on here that I like Slam Dunk. I know there's 1 or 2 others on here that I did kind of like, but I don't remember by the titles. I want to say What Was That might have been one of them, and I don't remember. I'll have to play this one again and jog my memory, but it wasn't one of my favorite David Lee Roth albums. That's why I purged it back when I got rid of some of my collection. But since this one's not on YouTube or the streaming services, figured now is my chance to pick it up and kind of have access to it again. The only Phil Collins album that I did not have on CD was Face Value. Now I have Face Value, so I've got the whole Phil Collins solo discography on CD. I also have all of his Genesis albums where he was the lead vocalist on CD. So the only one, and I've got all the Genesis that he was a part of on vinyl, so I pretty much got the full Phil Collins thing going on here. But this is, the classic with In the Air Tonight. It's actually not like my favorite Phil Collins album, but it is a pretty essential one. It's an iconic one, so I'm glad to have it on. I do have it on vinyl, but I'm glad to have it on CD just to sort of complete the Phil Collins CD collection. Here was a really good one. Kind of surprised to find this in a thrift store. Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. I got this on vinyl, and I also got the vinyl from Goodwill. So, but this is a really good album as well, and kind of like the Blue Oyster Cult one, this is really the only one I'm that familiar with. I did buy Razzmatazz and The Full Circle. I picked up when I saw them cheap at I think one was at Goodwill, and I think the other one was at the record store. So I haven't gotten a chance to play them yet, but this album is pretty freaking sweet. I love Hair of the Dog. I love Miss Misery. I love Hertz is iconic. Changing Times is great. Beggar's Day is great. Rose and the Heather. Whole album. It's a great album. So, Hair of the Dog from Nazareth. Picked it up so I could finally have a copy on CD. This one I was super, super stoked about because it's not often that the album that is like number 1 on my wish list or number 1 on my to-get list just happens to show up at Goodwill. Not often does that happen, but I've been in a Pearl Jam kick here as of late. I've got a lot of the early ones, but I'm missing a lot of the more recent ones. And my favorite one of the more recent albums that I don't have is Backspacer, and I'll be damned that it come through Goodwill. And it was a surprise to me because there weren't any other like with this. 10 was there, but 10's been there. So I was surprised to find another Pearl Jam album, especially this one, coming through Goodwill, because, like I said, this one was pretty much at the top of my list because this is my favorite, more recent Pearl Jam album, and I've never owned it, so now I do. Case is a little beat up, as you can tell, just like that Bon Jovi one I got last time. It was actually a little wet when I picked it up, but I aired it out, dried it out to the best of my ability. It's still, it's still in decent enough shape. The booklet's not, you can tell that it was like wet at one point, but it's not damaged in any way. And then you can see the case here. It's like a little wonky, but the CD is in good shape. I played it. Sounds great. CD was not hurt at all. For whatever reason, this thing got wet, but that's the most important thing. It'd be nice to have a case in a little bit better condition than this, but hey, if the music plays perfectly fine, then that's what really matters. So that's wasn't going to pass it up just because it was a little damp. So Pearl Jam Backspacer, was thrilled to find that. All right, I got one more. This was another thrift store find, but it wasn't Goodwill. It was another thrift store. And generally this thrift store, we go there every so often, and their CD selection usually sucks. I mean, just to be kind of blunt about it, there is usually nothing that interesting or that good there. But I look every time I'm there because you never know what you're going to find. And this is a band, I've really never listened to this band before. I've heard of them. A lot of people that I watch on YouTube have talked about them. So I was aware of them, but I've just never gotten around to listen to them. And then I'll be damned if I didn't find a Sabotage CD in a thrift store. And I bought it primarily because you don't find Sabotage CDs in thrift stores very often. So I bought it, and I figured, well, now's the time for me to see what I think about this band, because I'm never going to have a better opportunity to pick up a album on the cheap and an album that's in really good condition. So I played this. It's quite good. I really liked it. It's kind of weird. It wasn't as heavy as I expected. At the same time, it also wasn't as orchestral as I expected from my limited knowledge of Sabotage. Come to find out, this is sort of a transition album, like in between the kind of heavier stuff and the more orchestral stuff. From what I've gathered, I've gone online and watched some Sabotage ranking videos, like from Off the Charts and Bryce Talks Metal, Pete Pardo. I've watched some people rank Sabotage albums just to try to get myself an idea of where to go next. I did play another Sabotage album while I was at work yesterday, and it was Hall of the Mountain King, because that one seemed to be pretty high on a lot of people's lists, and I gotta say, this was good, but Hall of the Mountain King freaking smokes. That album is freaking incredible, man. So now I gotta keep my eye out for that album to come through somewhere, because that album is freaking killer. Gosh, I'm trying to think there was like 2 or 3 songs that I love the whole thing. There was 2 or 3 songs on Hall of the Mountain King that like really jumped out at me, and I can't remember the titles right off the top of my head. White Witch, that was like the second to last or second to last song or something like that. But I liked White Witch a lot. I liked Hall of the Mountain King was good. I can't remember. I wish I would have written down the tracks, because there was 2 or 3 that really jumped out at me. It's like, holy crap, this is awesome. So, yeah, Gutter Ballet, pretty good album. Hall of the Mountain King, I've listened to since then, and I like it better. Plus some odd and end tracks from Sabotage that I've listened to here and there. So, pretty good band. Pretty good band. So, kind of weird that the 2 artists that I've been getting into recently, one is Brooks and Dunn, a country artist, which I'm not generally a big country fan, but I'm kind of getting the appeal a little bit at this point in life. And on the other hand, Sabotage. So I've kind of been going back and forth between the two. And at the end of the day, I can say that I may be kind of loosening up my stance on country music, but at the end of the day, it's in no danger of topping rock for me, because when I go back to Sabotage and the hard rock, like, yeah, that's the shit right there. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on any of these albums. Let me know what some of your most recent pickups are. Let me know also what Blue Oyster Cult and or Sabotage album I should go to next, or keep my eye out for next, because I'm interested in digging into those discographies a little bit more. So if you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future, and I will catch you next time.